the ideology that went with that was very much a personal empowerment for the purpose of giving to the whole.
Mm-hmm. Well, that seems to be the direction that the only direction we really need to be going in. I just feel that that's a natural progression to whatever is next, that we can't continue to rape and pillage the planet. The planet is alive, and it's a conscious being. The sun is a conscious being. Everything is alive in the universe, and you can't tell me that, our thoughts don't affect reality, or that what we do to the planet and each other isn't causing some kind of ripple. And I wouldn't be surprised if our development of atomic bombs and some of the other nasty stuff that the military has come up with, I'd be surprised if it hasn't raised some eyebrows in some of our star family on other planets, maybe on the other side of the galaxy.
Yes, and unfortunately, fortunately or unfortunately, it's impossible to prove, but the way our science has been conducted in academia, what is proof, and how do we know? And we're hovering on the edge of disclosure. But yet, in many cases, people are quite certain that it's been ascertained, and that it's only the official story and the media that's not allowing that. But there are surveys of people. I mean, do you believe in this? In the fact that there are other beings around? But what does that mean? Because these sophisticated beings are also in other dimensions. And, how dare we say, well, it's only the third dimension, and if you're not in the third dimension, then that's it, and we've discussed that faster can see slower, but slower can't see faster. So the densest of the dense, the least evolved, the most materialistic, the cruelest, the least developed, and maybe even the least intelligent, and certainly the least in touch with what's really going on with everybody, are running it.
Yes.
For their own purposes, for their own greedy, power-hungry ways of being, and that just won't do. And the people who become more refined, who are more in tune with nature, who are healthier, who are more aware, they wouldn't dream of thinking about that. And having been to 52 countries, Egypt counts as one, the people of the world are lovely, and they're kind, and they're generous, and they're open, they want you in their homes. I never felt a sense of danger when I was traveling. And, we're just told over and over again, the demonization of all things Middle Eastern, unless you're in the Middle East. And then you see that everybody wears their hearts on their sleeve. They never criticize Americans. They're stressed. They're very stressed, like the rest of people with systemic stress, if you will. The system is really, really taxing people at the moment, physically, emotionally, spiritually, and financially. But the people of the world are ready to love one another and to love the planet. And so we seem to be stuck in this place where the governments are the problem. And we're over-socialized. People who are moral, like when you think of the Gnostic traditions, which was all about deep knowing, the sense of knowing from within, not repeating a fact that somebody else wants you to know. Somebody else wants you to repeat, and they call that knowledge. That's not knowledge. And so when people are connected, then they're connected to morals. And so they don't want to squish the bug.
Right.
And they will. If there's one loaf of bread and 5 hungry people, you don't say, well, I'm keeping it for me. No, you give it to everyone. You share.
Exactly.
And that's the natural state of the human being.
That's right.
Okay. And you don't have to teach people that. But the thing is when we're over-socialized and we're over-controlled, then there's silly rules, like you can't cross the street when you're not on a crosswalk. Well, why not if nobody's coming?
Exactly.
And you can't ride your bicycle without a helmet. Well, how do you know if you fall down you're going to land on your head?
Right.
And if you want to wear a helmet, then wear it.
Right. It's going on. It's exponentially. Well, part of that I think is because it all goes back to the banking system sucking all the money out of the economy and having the taxpayers pay for it.
Yep.
And as a result, the states have no money, so they start making more laws so that when we break one, and we're bound to break one at some point because there'll be so many of them that you can't walk out of your house without breaking a law. So, there'll be fines and fines and more fines, and that's already that way,
It's already that way, and we're paying for our own enslavement. We don't need it. We don't need any of that.
Right. We're paying for our own enslavement.
Oh, listen, I moved to Taiwan, and I was working at a university as a professor. And before I left, I declared myself non-resident and went through the whole legal process of saying, as of this date, I am no longer a resident of Canada. And then when I came back, the first, day when I put an offer in on a house, I had to start. It took me 3 weeks to register with all the people who were going to get my money.
Oh, my God.
For insurance, for utilities, for income tax, for this and that, And you watch, it's absolutely ludicrous what we have to pay compared to other countries, what they pay for utility bills and that sort of thing. Like, it's just a minuscule fraction. Today, gas, 10 cents a liter in Egypt.
Wow.
To run an air conditioner 24/7 in over 100-degree weather, in Taiwan, $9 a month.
Wow.
Landline, $1.58.
Wow.
Yeah, not kidding. And so I'd come back and I'd see everybody, paying hundreds of dollars for natural gas to heat their homes in Canada in the winter, hundreds and hundreds.
Oh, yeah.
And people are complacent. Well, what are we going to do? But they push to see what we will endure.
Yes, that's right.
And now they want smart meters that are going to give even more electromagnetic frequencies. I'm one of these people that can feel those frequencies.
Yeah.
And fluorescent lights and that sort of thing just really are very, very taxing on me. And so some people aren't that sensitive, but it doesn't mean it's not affecting them.
That's right. That's right.
But I'm not giving up my wireless internet because if that's the only thing we're going to have to endure, that's one that I want.
Yes, well, I kind of feel the same way on that one. Well, it's the only way I can get on the internet anyway, and with a satellite dish. So they don't have the lines out in the boonies of Northern California. But you're so right about all this, and it does seem that there is a tension and a revolutionary air or evolutionary air that's growing and has been building, and it will reach a tipping point.
Well, I've had this idea where just the way we put a card into an ATM machine, what if they said, okay, you've got $2,000 of taxes to pay this round. Do you want to fix the hole in the corner on your street? Would you like to pay a pension for a guy who only worked for 6 years in office? Would you like to pay for his lunch, his yacht, his vacation? Or do you want to, put in something new and repair something in your neighborhood? What are you going to pick?
Well,
I'm going to sign up to give trillions of dollars to a couple of bankers? No.
No.
But would you fund a community center and, a learning center or something? Sure.
Absolutely.
But see, if they gave us a choice, if it was really a democracy, the world would change immediately. But people are becoming apathetic because they don't think that what they do matters.
Yes.
Right?
That's right. That's right.
So.
That's right, and we're going to have to take our power back if we're going to make any changes because.
Well, how? That's the point. How do we become re-empowered?
There are movements to, for instance, Max Kaiser has a movement started to crash J.P. Morgan by buying silver, and that seems to be catching hold. There are people who are growing vegetables for the hungry, and this one little girl who was 8 years old is now about 11 or 12, and she has a huge industry feeding thousands of people. So, these things start with one person, and if we feel that we're not that person and we're waiting for that person to show up, well, that's not right. We are the person we've been waiting for, and we need to be the one to stand up and take the first move.
Yes, and though there are so many controls that you need a permit to build this, and you need a license to do that. And
yes, I know. Believe me.
That's right. So the point is, though, that if we're going to get our power back, the government has to somehow let go of these, grips that they've got on everybody and everybody's pocketbook.
Absolutely.
And compounded interest and all this thing with the mortgages. God, yeah. There is a way to fix it, and we could recover within 2 generations. And I'm not saying within, 2 months or 2 years. It will take a while, but it's possible. But real people, if these controls come out of the way, will know what to do. I think people learn how to be criminals in jail by doing something like maybe having a marijuana charge or something, and then then they get disadvantaged, and then they're scarred because they've been in jail, and then they start to be criminals.
Right.
That sort of thing, where it hurt people hurt people.
That's right. Well, there are some game changers. One thing that I've learned over the years that I've been doing this show is that the technology is held by private corporations in various places, that we're not supposed to know about, is approximately 10,000 years ahead of what we're allowed to have. And part of that is free energy and anti-grav and a lot of other things that seem Star Trek-y. But
a lot of things that the Egyptians had. It's absolutely proof perfect that the Egyptians had all of that, and that Tesla knew that, and that it was shut down by exactly J.P. Morgan because they thought, hey, we can make money on everybody, and they are.
And
look how much money they're making.
Oh,
I've said this before on the air, but maybe not on your show. If you and your family got every dollar back that you paid in taxes, interest, and utilities, all at once, you'd have $1 million or more.
Wow.
Think. In your whole life and their whole life.
Wow. Yes, and the other thing I heard is if we had the money from the bailouts, which ended up being in the trillions, every person in America would immediately get a check for $350,000. That wouldn't be bad. That would have solved a lot of problems.
Well, we can solve all our problems if we stop making them. Well, we say we. It's them. It's when they say, well, who's them? Them and us and all of that. Like real people, I think, are basically good. And the thing is that even the most hardened criminals and bad people who do bad things, they're hurting. And I know that you can't fix everything, but people can be encouraged to change, and they can change as soon as you get out of the irritating electromagnetic frequencies or get off aspartame connected to fluoride and all these different things and pharmaceuticals making toxic cocktails. Take all that away, settle people down, put them in nature, and it will change.
Yeah. Yes, I agree with you. We know what needs to happen, so, maybe it's a matter of alignment with a sufficient number of people, and the 100th monkey theory would kick in.
Well, when the Fancy Pants bomber happened last year on December 25th, I knew it. I knew they were going to do something right around Christmas when people were, and it just seemed so predictable to me. And I started digging around, and right away it wasn't coming up about what that was really about. Again, TSA, the radiation, again, push. It's predictable, and this WikiLeaks and the way they're framing this guy, and the real history of it, and who's really behind it.
Yes.
And the whole history, it's predictable, so that they can say, oh, it's a security leak, we have to do this and that and this and that. So this is back to David Icke's problem, reaction, solution.
Yep.
And people are aware. Things are happening right away, and people are on it.
Yes.
And they're deciphering it. And we're communicating on Internet. So their idea will probably be to try to kill it. Cancel clear, because it's probably not that possible to do. But the thing is that the way Internet works, the way a computer works, is actually the way our brain works.
Oh.
The memory and all of it. The amount of RAM you have, the amount of capacity that you have to think, all of these things can be, we are superhumans. And I'm not talking about a machine kind of thing. We have the same DNA as the ancient Egyptians did, and they were capable of manifestation, teleportation, all of it, levitation, anti-gravity. They were doing it. And I'm absolutely certain of that. The evidence is everywhere. The symbolism will show it to you, and I can walk you through that. And the Pyramid Code is a good start to piece it together. But it's not something that you can cover in an hour-long conversation or, in a few little animations. It's a bigger story, and I think everybody who watches the Pyramid Code knows that there's much between the lines, and there's much that's implied and more that can be said. But we have the capacity to be psychic, to communicate with one another, and we are gaining in abilities.
Yes.
People are more psychic than they were. Things are trying to dumb it down, but despite that, people are still becoming more sensitive. And that's, so that we've got these two different trends going. The evolutionary trend that's pulling us out, and then the